Hello sports fans, welcome to Spruce Sports Central. Today, we're going to be going for my final mock draft for the 2026 NFL Draft. And in this mock draft, it's pretty much going to be what I think is going to happen in the draft. So it's going to be my predictions for all the picks. So we'll start things off number 1 overall, and the Raiders, they're going to take Fernando Mendoza. They need a quarterback, he's the best one in the draft, not really a question, he's going to be a Raider. Now the Jets at number 2 is where this draft really starts, although we still have a pretty good idea of what they kind of want to do. It's either going to be Arvell Reese or David Bailey. Now there's been some rumors they kind of like David Bailey a little bit more, but I think they're going to end up taking Arvell Reese. If I was the Jets, I would also take Arvell Reese. I just think he's got the higher ceiling with the athleticism. David Bailey might be a little bit better right now, but if I'm the Jets, I would take Arvell Reese, and that is what I do think they end up doing at number 2. Now the Cardinals at 3 is a really interesting one. There's rumors they like Jeremiah Love, although I don't really think that makes a ton of sense, even though I do think he's a great player. Now, David Bailey's available. He makes sense. Francis Mauigoa, I think, makes a lot of sense as well. And I think they could also look to trade down. And if I was the Cardinals, I would look to trade down. And that then creates the question of who wants to come up. Now, I think the Chiefs or the Saints are two teams who could jump up for either David Bailey or Francis Mauigoa. But I think the Cardinals end up sticking here at 3, and I've got them taking David Bailey, or really whichever edge rusher the Jets don't pick. So I've got the Cardinals taking David Bailey at number 3. Now the Titans at number 4, they are a team I think can go a few different directions. They could take Jeremiah Love, because they definitely need more playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. They could go take Sonny Styles and give Robert Saleh that centerpiece of his defense. I think they could also trade down with somebody like the Cowboys, who might want to jump the Giants for Sonny Styles. But I do think the Titans end up going with Jeremiah Love and giving themselves another playmaker on the offensive side of the ball. Now the Giants at 5, and they're an interesting one. I think this ends up being an Ohio State defender, either Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs. As a Giants fan, I would prefer Sonny Styles. I mean, both I think are really good players. I think they end up going Sonny Styles at 5. That is what my preference would be for the Giants as well. He's a really good player, great athlete. I think it makes a ton of sense for the Giants at 5. Now, the Browns at 6, they're another one they can go a couple of different directions. But I think this makes the most sense to be either a receiver or an offensive lineman. They could take Francis Mauigoa, but I've got them going Carnell Tate. Keep him in the state of Ohio. They desperately need wide receivers. They take the best one in the draft. They're at number 6. Then the Commanders at number 7. So they're a team a lot like the Browns. They could probably use a receiver. And I think if Carnell Tate is here at 7, it's a no-brainer. You go run that to the podium. You take Carnell Tate, but with the way the board has fallen, I don't think it's a great situation. Because Carnell Tate's off the board. You've got Jeremiah Love off the board. It's an interesting situation here for the Commanders at 7. But I've got them going Caleb Downs, making the third Ohio State player in a row. And they help the defense, which definitely needs some help. And they take him there at number 7. Although, I'm really not sure what the Commanders opt to do. But just my best guess. Now, the Saints at 8. I've got them going Ruben Bain out of Miami. They need an edge rusher. That's why I think trading up to 3 for either David Bailey or Arvell Reese makes a lot of sense. They could also take a receiver in Jordan Tyson, but I think they go Ruben Bain here. He's not a guarantee to go top 10 with the arm length concerns, which I definitely think are valid, but he's a good player. I still think, despite the arm length, he can still be a really good player, and I think the Saints take him at number 8. The Chiefs at number 9, I think this is a pretty easy pick with the way the board has fallen. It's Francis Mauigoa. They need help along the offensive line. He can play right tackle, potentially guard. I think he can play either for the Chiefs, and I think that makes a ton of sense if he's available at 9. I think the Chiefs would be very excited about that pick, getting a really good player in Francis Mauigoa at number 9. Now, the Giants at 10. They are a really interesting one here in their second top 10 pick. So, this is obviously the pick they got with the Dexter Lawrence trade, and there's several different ways they can go, and there's been so many rumors regarding this pick. Jordan Tyson's available. They've been linked heavily to him. I also wouldn't mind taking Mansour Delane. I think Caleb Downs is a possibility if he's available. And they could also end up taking an offensive lineman like a Spencer Fano or a Vega Ioane out of Penn State. Now, as a Giants fan, I really don't know what I want. I mean, Jordan Tyson's good. I wouldn't mind him. I don't love taking guard here at 10, like a Vega Ioane. Mansour Delane I think makes sense, but what I think the Giants end up doing, I think they go receiver, and they take Jordan Tyson. They met with him in Arizona after the Dexter Lawrence trade. They've been heavily linked to him. I just think that makes a lot of sense. Now, obviously, there is concerns about Jordan Tyson with his injuries in the past, and having a player with injury concerns playing that MetLife turf doesn't sound great, but They get Jackson Dart, another offensive weapon, somebody to pair with Malik Neighbors. I think that's what the Giants do at number 10. Although, as a Giants fan, I also wouldn't mind a trade down, getting some more draft capital. But I think the Giants end up going Tyson at 10. Now, the Dolphins at 11, I've got them going Mansour Dwayne. Now, I am interested to see how this new head coach and GM regime decides to draft, but they need help at corner. Mansour Dwayne is the best corner in the draft. I think that makes sense there for the Dolphins at number 11. Then the Cowboys at 12. They're another tough one. There's rumors they can try to package 12 and 20 and try to move up potentially above the Giants for Sonny Styles. There's also rumors that they want to stick at 12 and 20 and make 2 first-round picks. So I do have them sticking here at 12, and I think the pick is Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon. He's a great ball-hawking safety, can definitely help back into that defense which needs desperate help, and I think that's what the Cowboys go do there at number 12. Now the Rams at 13, I've got them going Mekhi Lemon. I don't really think they need to take a receiver because you've got Puka Nacua, you've got Devontae Adams. I don't think it's a must, but adding another playmaker on the offensive side of the ball for Sean McVay to work with never sounds like a bad idea for that offense. I think that is the pick there at 13. The Ravens at 14, they lost a lot of interior offensive linemen in free agency, and I think this pick is fairly easy. It's Vega Ioane out of Penn State. Really solid overall player, good in the run game, good in the pass game. I think that makes a lot of sense at 14. Then the Buccaneers at 15. They're a team where I have no idea what they're going to do. They can take an edge rusher like a Keldrick Falk, like a Akeem Mesidor out of Miami. I think that makes sense. They could potentially take an offensive lineman. They can take an offensive weapon like Kenyon Sadiq. There's a million different ways they can go. I've got them going Akeem Mesidor. He's an older player. He's already 25, but he's a player who can contribute right away. One of the more pro-ready pass rushers in this draft. And I think that's the pick there at 15, although there's a million different things the Buccaneers can do. Also wouldn't rule out a trade down. Now the Jets at 16. We've got them going with an edge rusher, Arvell Reese at number 2. And now I think they go offense. That could be a receiver like an Omar Cooper, but could also be a little bit early for him. So instead of what I think they do, I still think they take an offensive playmaker, but that's Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon. He is a really good player, a great athlete, a matchup nightmare. 2 fast for linebackers, 2 big for corners. He is definitely going to help the offense and give the Jets another weapon besides Garrett Wilson. They're at 16. Now you move on to the Lions at 17. This is going to be an offensive line. Either Spencer Fano, Monroe Freeland, or where they've got their pick. I think it's Monroe Freeland. He is more likely to stick at left tackle. He played left tackle in college, a really good athlete for the position. Spencer Fano, a good athlete as well. But I just think taking a player like Monroe Freeland that's going to stick at left tackle in the NFL just makes a lot more sense for the Lions. Then the Vikings at number 18. I think Dylan Thieneman is a very easy pick if he's available, but in this case, he's not. Obviously, we've got him going 12 to the Cowboys. But I still think they go safety. I think they take Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. He is still a really good player, and he's a Harrison Smith replacement for the Vikings. Now, the Panthers at 19. They're another really tough one. I think they could go offensive line. They could take a receiver and take Omar Cooper or Casey Concepcion, someone like that. I also think they can take Kenyon Sadiq if he's available, and if he is available, I think this is a fairly easy pick. But because he's not available, I've got them going Spencer Fano, improving the offensive line. Obviously, I briefly touched on him before, a really good athlete, can play potentially multiple positions along the offensive line, played both left tackle and right tackle at Utah, and I think that makes sense for the Panthers at 19. The Cowboys at 20. We've got them going Thieneman at 12, and I could see them doubling up on defense, especially in the secondary, and taking Jermon McCoy, but I don't think that happens. I think he could fall a little bit because of the injury concerns with his knee, which definitely seem to be quite concerning, but I've got them going Keldrick Falk. They need help along the defensive line, and Keldrick Falk, a very interesting player, but a good player, and he kind of reminds me a lot of Shamar Stewart from last year. A big, athletic defensive end / interior guy, but more like an edge rusher, and they're also very good against the run, but need to develop as a pass rusher. I think Keldrick Falk, a really good player. The Cowboys also seem to really like him, and I think that's the pick there at 20 for Dallas. 21, the Steelers. They're not going to take Ty Simpson here. That just doesn't seem very likely. And they can go a few different directions. I think offensive line makes a lot of sense, and that is what I've got them doing, and I think that's Caden Proctor. He is a massive human being. He's 6'7", 360 pounds, good athlete. Definitely has a lot of room for improvement, but definitely think it's an offensive lineman here for the Steelers at 21. And I think that's Caden Proctor. 22 with the Chargers. they're another interesting one. They could go receiver. Maybe that's Omar Cooper. They could take a lineman, but Vega Ioane not on the board. I don't really think there's another guard right here. I mean, maybe they go take someone later down the board, like a, if I can find him. Alright, we'll just go this way then. I forget his name. They could take Pregnon from Oregon. They could take, there we go, Chase Bisonte is the guy I was trying to find. From Texas A&M. That's a possibility. But I think they go edge rusher, and I think that edge rusher is TJ Parker out of Clemson. They need help along the edge. They did re-sign Khalil Mack, but they lost Dafe Owe. And I think getting an edge rusher like TJ Parker makes a lot of sense there for the Chargers at 22. Now, the Eagles at 23, I think this is an offensive lineman. Could be Blake Baker, but I've got them going Max Iheanacho from Arizona State. He wouldn't necessarily play right away as a rookie, being behind Lane Johnson at right tackle, and he also did play right tackle in college, but makes a lot of sense. You can groom him behind Lane Johnson and help him learn, and I think that makes a lot of sense, especially because Lane Johnson not getting any younger. Now, at 24, we've got the Browns, and I think this is an offensive lineman, and again, I'm going to pass on Blake Miller for now. I think this is Caleb Williams from Utah. He is a left tackle. He played left tackle for the Browns, and they definitely need help along the offensive line. I think that makes a lot of sense, helping an offensive line that's not very good. Now, the Bears at 25, they're in a really interesting spot. They could use a safety, but the top three are off the board. They can use an edge rusher, although I don't really think the board has fallen in a great way for needing an edge rusher. So I've got them going with a defensive lineman, and I think that could be Caleb Banks, but it seems like he could fall a little bit because of a foot issue. I've got them going Peter Woods. Wasn't quite as good this past year in 2025, a really good 2024 at Clemson. I think he's the pick there at 25 for the Bears. Now, the Bills at 26, I've got them going Omar Cooper Jr. They need a receiver. Cooper's a really good player. Could potentially go higher than this, but I think if he's there, it makes a lot of sense for the Bills at 26. Then the 49ers at 27. This could be an offensive lineman, but I've got them going with a receiver with the way the board has fallen, and that is Casey Concepcion. They've got two guys who play the outside, Mike Evans, Ricky Pearsall. Adding a slot guy, dangerous with the ball in his hands, like Casey Concepcion, makes a lot of sense, and I think that's the way they'll go at 27. Then 28 for the Texans, I think this is a very easy pick. It's Blake Miller out of Clemson. He's a right tackle. They need help at right tackle, need help along the offensive line in general. I think that makes a lot of sense for the Texans at 28. Now, the Chiefs at 29, we've got them going Francis Mauigoa at number 9. Now, they can go a few different directions here. I think they could take Avion Terrell, they could take Jermon McCoy, and I think that's what they do. I think they go take Jermon McCoy. I think he falls a little bit because of the knee issues and the knee concerns, but he's still a real good player. I think the Chiefs take a chance on him and help try to replace Trent McDuffie, who obviously traded to the Rams, getting that pick. Now, the Dolphins at 30, they're a team that could use a receiver, and I don't think the board has necessarily fallen a great way for them. Now, we've got them taking Mansour Dwayne earlier, and I think with the way the board has fallen, it might make more sense for them to go take a receiver like a Mekhi Lemon at 11, and then go take a corner here like an Avion Terrell or a Colton Hood here at 30. But with the way the board has fallen, I still do think they go receiver and take Denzel Boston. Now, he's not my favorite receiver in this class, but he's still a good player, and he gives the Dolphins just someone to throw the ball to. Because right now, their options at receiver aren't too great. Now, the Patriots at 31, they would probably want an offensive lineman here, but not really one available. I do think if someone like a Blake Miller or and Max Iheanacho is available, I think it makes a lot of sense. And I think they very quickly make that pick. But because of the way the board has fallen, I've got them going C.J. Allen out of Georgia. He's a good player. Linebackers need for the Patriots. And really good player. Not the craziest athlete in the world, but a very solid player. And he's picked for the Patriots at 31. And then the Seahawks at 32. I've seen some rumors they're interested in taking Jadarian Price out of Notre Dame. And as a Notre Dame fan, I like him quite a bit. I think he's going to be a really good player. And I definitely think he's the second best running back in this class behind Jeremiah Love. But I don't think that's what they do. I think they also could trade down and make a trade with the Cardinals, who seem to really like Ty Simpson. Maybe they want to jump into the first round to take him. But I don't think that happens either. I've got them going Cassius Howell out of Texas A&M. He is a really good player. And Seahawks, they lost a couple players along the defensive line in free agency, and they take Cassius Howell there at 32. But that is my official 2026 NFL mock draft. Everything I think will happen in the 2026 NFL draft. We'll also be having a live watch party for the NFL draft, where you guys get to see my live reactions and thoughts to every single pick as it happens. So be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, so you guys don't miss that. But thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, turn on notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible, and I will see you in the next video.